Hey there and welcome. Today we're diving into a major new proposal that could impact three crucial parts of your life: your taxes, your healthcare, and your Social Security. This sweeping new bill, introduced by former President Trump and recently passed by the House, is now headed to the Senate. And what happens next could shape our financial futures in a big way. Now, this bill is about much more than just tax cuts. It includes significant changes to programs like Medicaid, revised benefit rules, and even new requirements that could quietly change how Social Security works for millions of Americans. One thing that's gone under the radar: this bill is more than 1,000 pages long, and buried within it are clauses that tie Social Security payments to new work and reporting rules, especially for those also receiving Medicaid or food assistance. That might sound technical, but let's break it down. If you rely on Social Security, Medicaid, or SNAP to make ends meet, these changes could bring real consequences. We're talking about stricter conditions and potentially more paperwork, which could lead to delays or even loss of benefits. So if you're asking yourself, will this affect my monthly checks, my family's health care, our taxes? You're asking the right questions. This is a pivotal moment, and it's essential to understand what's at stake. At the heart of it is what's being called the One Big Beautiful Bill. It blends permanent tax cuts with major shifts in government spending and new eligibility rules for public assistance programs. While it managed to pass the House by just a single vote, its fate in the Senate is far from certain. Even though Republicans hold the majority in the Senate, just a few dissenting votes could block the bill entirely, and some GOP senators are already voicing concerns, from the overall cost to how it could impact their constituents. One of the biggest worries is the projected $3 trillion addition to the national debt over the next decade. Sure, tax cuts are popular. Who doesn't want more take-home pay? But here's the catch. Much of the financial benefit is going to high-income earners and business owners, thanks to expanded deductions on things like capital gains and tip income. Yes, there are tax breaks for middle and lower-income Americans too, but they're smaller and temporary. For example, the child tax credit would increase from $2,000 to $2,500, but only through 2028. Some senators are pushing for a more generous, long-lasting version, but whether that makes it into the final bill is still up in the air. Another flashpoint is the SALT deduction, the cap on how much you can deduct for state and local taxes. The House wants to raise that cap to $40,000, which would benefit residents of high-tax states like California and New York. But senators from lower tax states are pushing back, arguing it's unfair and pushing to shrink the deduction back down or eliminate it altogether. If they succeed, it could derail the entire bill when it returns to the House. But perhaps the most personal part of the bill for many is what it proposes for Medicaid. The plan calls for $625 billion in cuts and adds work requirements for adults aged 19 to 64 who don't have children. These individuals would need to work, volunteer, or attend job training for at least 80 hours a month to remain eligible. That might sound reasonable on the surface, but it's more complicated in practice. Many people receiving Medicaid are already juggling jobs, caregiving responsibilities, or serious health issues. On top of that, the new rules would introduce complicated reporting and tracking systems, and it's these bureaucratic hurdles, not laziness or fraud, that often lead people to lose benefits. This is where Social Security becomes a concern again. For retirees or those on disability who also receive Medicaid, these tighter rules could create confusion, delays, and even disqualifications. Already over 1 million Americans have been asked to repay Social Security funds due to reporting errors, and this bill could make that situation even worse. And this isn't just about policy, it's about real people. There are folks who are scared to answer the phone because they're terrified it might be a notice saying they owe thousands of dollars they didn't even know they were overpaid. Some senators are now advocating for removing the Social Security and Medicaid-related changes from the bill entirely, suggesting the focus should remain strictly on taxes. Others argue that if you're cutting taxes, you have to cut spending, and that spending has to come from somewhere. The bill also includes controversial changes to clean energy funding. It rolls back tax credits from President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, especially those supporting electric vehicles and renewable energy. Some lawmakers see that as a positive move, saying those credits distort the market. Others warn it could cost jobs and hurt businesses in clean energy sectors. Economists, too, are sounding the alarm. With national debt already equal to the size of our entire economy, this bill could push it well beyond 125% of GDP in the next decade. That could raise interest rates, make borrowing more expensive, and limit the government's ability to respond to future emergencies. And we're already seeing signs of concern. Bond yields are climbing, the dollar is weakening, and markets are getting nervous about how the country is managing its finances. Now, even though all of this might feel overwhelming, there's still time to make a difference. The Senate is actively working on changes, and every senator's stance is influenced by what they hear from voters. That means your voice still matters, now more than ever. There's a July 4th deadline on the table, and while that date is partly symbolic, it's also being used to build pressure. Over the next few weeks, key parts of the bill could still change, whether it's the work requirements, the child tax credit, or the Social Security provisions. There's also a looming battle over whether this bill can even be passed with a simple majority. If Senate Democrats win that procedural fight, it could send the bill back to the drawing board. So now I want to hear from you. What concerns you most? The proposed Medicaid changes, the Social Security connections, or the direction of our tax policy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more clear, honest updates as this story unfolds. Thanks for tuning in. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.